Alright guys, before I get into this video, which is me rambling about this bass and various other basses, I want to talk about the last video I just put out that was about the drummer auditions for Primus. I actually was in violation by putting that video out. Even the one audition that was nothing but the drum beat, I got flagged for that. And I just want you guys to know that I have a lot of ideas and a lot of topics to cover on this channel. Some of these topics, I've been beaten to them and I've backed off. Some of these other topics, I've already posted videos and I've had other, I know this is probably in bad taste, but I'm just gonna say this, but I know that some people have picked up on some of my ideas and not necessarily done a better job of conveying my message, but I can still appreciate that they took the time to speak up about some of the subjects that I've spoken about and basically add to it, reiterate it a bit. Didn't really care for them taking images that I've used. That kind of irritated me, but hey, you know what? It's a free country, right? It's a free world to some degree, depending on who you are and where you are. Anyway, what I want to say, though, the point I want to make is, on this channel, I have a lot of different things I want to do. And some of those things I am restricted from because I'm using parts of other people's music. Now, I'm not stealing from someone. The way copywriting works, or let's just say the way publishing works for musicians, and for those of you who don't know this, unless you are in an agreement with other bandmates or other collaborators in music who agree to split the publishing or divide it equally, you are typically, as a bassist and a drummer, you are left out of the writing credits otherwise. Unless the other people are being generous and being thoughtful, you are left out, okay? Therefore, if you try to use any of these tracks, you shouldn't be restricted. You shouldn't get a copyright strike. You shouldn't have someone saying, hey, you can't use that or you owe me, especially when it's a drum beat from a Primus song and then someone else is trying to claim rights on that and trying to monetize it. So that's what happened to me on the last video. It really irritates me because I worked really hard on putting that video together. When I'm putting out a video and I'm doing everything I can to not steal anything from an artist, but even by me, like some of those videos where I have done several tracks where I'm singing and playing on stuff, and they will flag these things and it could get me in trouble and it could shut the channel down. I don't want that, right? So I have to just choose to do other things. So if you guys like what you're seeing, please, you know what to do. This is something else that I have not been doing on many of these videos at all. I don't think I've ever asked anybody. I don't know, maybe I have, but it's not something I regularly do. I don't want to insult your intelligence. You guys know what to do. So if you can, I would greatly appreciate you doing those things. I don't want to ask this right at the top of the video, and I didn't mean for this to go on for very long, but I just figured some of you guys should know this because you have been asking questions. Some of you have been asking, why don't you do more material like that? Why don't you do more songs? Because every time I do any of these songs, they will threaten me with a copyright strike. If I choose to dispute and I lose, then they could shut the channel down. So typically I have no choice but to just either retract the video and not post it, or let them monetize it where I don't get anything for all my work. And then they just come back one day and decide, which has happened to several of my videos, they'll come back and just for a little clip, I'm talking like 5 seconds of me just letting you guys hear something. I don't know how these other channels get away with it, because some of these other channels are huge. They have like hundreds of thousands, even millions of subscribers. They're playing other people's music on there. As an example, they'll play just a few seconds and they get away with it. I do it, I even do just 3 seconds and they flag me. You guys gotta understand that. So once again, fortunately, I have no shortage of ideas. I have so many things up here and things that I've taken notes and made note of that I need to do, and I'm gonna do those things. But as far as using other people's material or even covering their material, I don't know. I'm gonna have to find a way around it, guys. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, but I have to find a way around it, because even when I'm literally not taking anything, if I'm using a beat and there's no music whatsoever to be heard, and someone else who's not, in this example, who is not Les Claypool, not Larry or Herb or any of those guys, no one from Primus, and someone else is trying to claim their stuff, you know, I really want to let them know about this, but I can't do anything. My hands are tied, because the moment I try to dispute it and say, you know what, this is not right, you guys do not have the authority to put a copyright strike on a drum beat. You can't do it. I know how it works. You cannot do this. Anybody knows this. Like, with a third day's education in music, and what I mean by that in music business, you will know this. You know, if you have publishing, you know this. Like, there are songs that I have played on and I have used that music before, and they'll come at me for my own stuff, for my own music. But what do? You know, I'm at the mercy of this platform and these bots or whatever that are checking the music. I don't know what else to do, but I will figure it out, and I will continue to put out content. Thanks for watching, guys. I've got plenty more coming. I really wish I could do something about the action on this bass, because it could be quite a bit lower. When I first purchased this bass used, the action was super low. It was a little too low, and there was a minor amount of fret buzz, so I messed with it a little bit. You see all these guys, they work with their own instruments and they're good at it, or they get good at it, and it seems like they get this understanding to where they could practically set up any instrument. But I'm just not that guy. I am not the guy who can do that. And I get impatient. I want to just play the thing. I don't want to sit there and learn, you know, all about the anatomy of the bass, even though I should at this point, especially at this age. I should learn these things, but I just want the bass to work. I don't want to have to struggle with it. Anyway, if I can get the action set on this bass, really it will take away the urge for me to even go and look for another bass. There are a couple other basses I've been looking at lately and I've been curious about trying out. And then there's some other basses where I'm kind of like, I've played them before. I know what's out there now. I've played a lot of different basses and I've owned a lot of different basses. I know what really works best for me. Why don't I just get rid of the rest of my stuff? I've already gotten rid of quite a few instruments. Why don't I just finish getting rid of everything and just stick with that one brand, and that would be Padula. The reason I'm not doing that is because they're no longer making Padula basses anymore, and that's the struggle, you know? It's like, if Michael Padula was still making those basses, I would feel a lot better about going out there and buying one even used, you know? But the moment he stopped making them, they went up and their value just went out of the roof. It just became way too out of my, you know, it just became way beyond my reach, and I couldn't get to it anymore. So right now, when it comes to fretted instruments, this is like my go-to instrument now. You know, I got this instrument 3 years ago, and now whenever I want to play fretted bass, literally the first bass I think to pick up, because it tracks so well. It sounds so great when you record it. It really does. It's this bass. You know, I used to always go for my P bass, my old P bass. I used to always go for that. But now I have moments where I'll pick it up and I'm like, man, I need to play this bass more, but there's just something about Fender basses, like even my Jazz, like I love to play it. I enjoy playing my Fender Jazz, which is a made in Mexico Jazz, more than my P bass. Like it feels better, right? Well, the Jazz is closer to my Padula as far as the way the neck feels. And with this bass has that chunkiness to it. It's a thick, this is not your everyday Ibanez bass. Like this is an Ibanez that is very much in the shadows of the Music Man Stingray. I mean, that's really the best comparison that I can make. If there's any instrument that this neck feels like, or the sound or the feel, it is the Stingray, but it's better, if that makes any sense. It's actually much friendlier to your hand, your left hand, or your fretting hand if you're playing a left-handed version. I enjoy the neck on this bass more than any other Music Man I've ever owned. And I've played some really great Music Man basses, but this one has a neck. Ibanez is known for this great feel. When it comes to your fretting hand, nobody beats them sometimes. Like it's just like, as far as like a brand that's out there putting out instruments for every price point, for every musician, they're really hard to beat. They are. Can I do that on the P bass? Of course I can. I can do that on any bass. But on this bass, with the action up fairly high, because I played with the truss rod, it's still easy. Still got that real fast neck.